This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how they play an all-important role in our daily life. So join Carl on this enlightening experience as he interviews metaphysical and spiritual experts to discuss, debate, and delve deeply into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
Here's a wonderful poem from Christy Zapinski about flowing downstream in a stream of well-being.
Row, row, row your boat, always flow downstream. Let go the oars, oh there it goes, ask, receive your dreams. If you can't tell which way you are going, how do your arms feel? Are you tired of rowing? Gently, gently, be at ease. You didn't come here to be Hercules. Life can be glorious without heavy lifting. Just focus on happiness when emotionally sifting. Row, row, row your boat, watch me in the waves. Put out the vibe, let it in, see how the law behaves. Point of attraction, you know the rules. Keep at it in practice, keep using the tools. Take in the beauty as you flow downstream because you're always winning with Source on your team. Row, row, row your boat. Are we almost there? Nothing seems to be happening because I'm not a billionaire. Oh no, look what you did. Now you're rocking the boat. We're heading upstream and that's not at all where we want to float. You have to imagine and daydream the feelings that you want to be. And then just relax, enjoy this time that we spend out at sea. Row, row, row your boat. Did you enjoy your voyage? Can't you tell when you feel good, everything is joyous?
Welcome, my friends. You've come to the right place on your search for answers about all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening. This is the show World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment. The show that does exactly that. Search out and find the answers, opinions, thoughts, ideas, and truth about all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening. Now, we do that by meeting and talking one-on-one with some of the world's greatest teachers, masters, ascended masters, authors, and experts right here on this show. And I can tell you that this show has the potential to blow your mind and heart wide open to concepts, ideas, and things like you've never thought possible. Now, before we head off to meet our amazing guest today, I'd absolutely love it if you took a moment to click the link below in the show notes to get a copy of my new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship. This is a book that will help you build a rock-solid personal foundation for your life and help you to live the life you love and love the life you live. Now, speaking of living the life you love and loving the life you live, my four guests on today's show are a perfect example of how to do just that. These four ladies, Eleni Yambalis, Renee Marcou, Amanda Monnier, and Crystal Lee, are collectively known as the Glowing Goddess. They've joined together on their own personal forces of light, love, and truth and created a new concept called the Glowing Goddess, in which once a week, the four of them share their wisdom and advice in a TV show format via a live Facebook broadcast. Now, here's how they describe themselves. The Glowing Goddess is a brand new show by four fierce women on a mission to positively impact, inspire, and ignite the collective consciousness by sharing their unique perspectives, empowering wisdom, divine guidance, and enlightening activation codes of truth. Each week, they release a brand new episode with a variety of epic content to inspire others. And they also include magical tips and offerings they have aligned for their audience. There's nothing out there like the Glowing Goddess, and they're here to shift the paradigm and usher in the new earth frequency. Man, I love that. I am honored and not only happy to call these four beautiful women my colleagues, but also my personal friends. So welcome, Glowing Goddesses. You
Thanks
got
for having
Thank
me.
you, Carl.
I'm such a happy guy surrounded by four beautiful women. This is just, that's why I'm sitting out in the field with this bright light and beautiful colors. So, well, let's go around now. Just for my audience's information, all four of these lovely ladies have been my individual guests on past episodes of World Awakenings, and now we have them here together. But let's go around the horn and have each of you tell us briefly about who you are and what your expertise is. Whoever wants to start.
I'm Lenny, and I am a spiritual gangster, and I'm on a mission to help people believe more in the limitless power of themselves and God, their source, and the limiting programs placed upon them. I do that through coaching, through the books that I write. I'm an author, a motivational speaker, and an ambassador with iHeart Coaching Academy, helping people really find and live a life that they love. Shifting into the space with children and some new, fun, exciting launches coming out in my personal career very, very soon.
Awesome.
I
You're
love that.
you're the first spiritual gangster I know. All right, Krista, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, thank you so much, Carl. This is so amazing. I just have to say, like, this is our first interview, all four of us together on a podcast. So how divine, how amazing. My name is Krista Lee. I am a mother, a life coach, an author, best-selling author, and award-winning as well, and also the founder of a brand new school called Soul School up here in Ontario, Canada. I am a lover of life, an empath, a generator by human design, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, spreading love every day. And I am so grateful to be here with all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. How about Renee?
Oh, all right. I was thinking Amanda was going to come up next. But hey, everybody. So happy to be here with y'all. And thank you, Carl, so much for hosting us on our first interview as the squad. The Glowing Goddess actually came through to me back in June of 2022. And these gorgeous three women, they were like literally the people that I knew were meant to be a part of this show together. So outside of the Glowing Goddess, I'm also a 12 plus year life coach. And now I certify coaches around the globe in my program called the CEO Goddess. And other than certifying and training in my life coaching modality, which really focuses around manifestation, creating a life that you love, you also create a business that you love and start to lean into a new lifestyle that's truly and totally epic for yourself. And that's one of the things I do. I'm also a singer as well, but I do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, and I am definitely grateful to be here with all of you right now.
That is so awesome. Awesome. Renee, always amazing. And Amanda, what about you?
I love it. My name is Amanda Monnier. I specialize in multidimensional health and wellness. I am an energy master, a healer, a coach, and a teacher. And I absolutely love helping my clients expedite their results and return to their inner union, that divine blueprint of who they are, so that they can unleash who they are to this planet. And I just want to say thank you to you, Carl, because I'm pretty sure in some way, shape, and form, you linked us all up together. And I don't remember exactly how that worked, but I met with you, and then I think I met with Renee or Lenny and then Krista. So I don't know, this is all just so perfect, and there's nowhere else I would rather be than here in this space with all of you. And so I'm just so grateful.
And of course, it was meant to be, right? That was it.
Meant to be.
And I just realized I called you Amanda Monnier, and I'm sorry, it's Monnier. I apologize. I should know that.
Perfect. I think that's actually the correct way to pronounce it. So we'll go with it.
All right. I'll call you both. Now, what I really am interested in, why did you four come up with this concept called the Glowing Goddess? Now, did you feel there's something lacking in the world, a void that you four thought you could fill to enlighten the world? I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, for sure. This was a project that was like literally birthed intuitively from all four of us. And when we got together, we had these ideas just literally channeling through each of us, and each one of us brings something different to the table. I know for sure when I saw the lineup in my head, right? And then I just reached out to everybody and we all like got together, started chatting. But we really did start to see that in the world, there was such a lack for conscious conversation and really just allowing people to have that community and that sense of like, hey, I'm not alone in this. Like I am expanding. I am accelerating. I am really interested in not just spirituality, but everything beyond that. And the four of us together came up with the concept of like, what is the world missing? Like, how can we create an incredible show that people walk away from feeling good, like not talking smack about, celebrities or like whatever people do after they watch some like, talk shows or whatever, but it's like really just feeling so grounded in themselves and empowered and loving, the community aspect too, knowing that they're not alone in this cool as heck journey.
And what I like about your show is quote, kind of like a TV format. I could see that, one day Oprah's got nothing on you guys. So, maybe I can be the MC for the show. That would be great. So we'll get a network sign up for you. I mean, do the other three of you agree with what Renee said? Anybody have anything to add to that?
I think Renee pretty much nailed it. That was really the thought, was that there is this void, there is this lack of conscious, programming that makes you feel good. So let's just do it, right? And the universe loves action. Renee, it channeled through Renee first, and she saw this vision. And it felt good. And it felt good to all of us. And then we all started getting downloads. And that, Carl, all of us in this space, we understand deliberate creating. We understand manifestation. And when something feels good like that, there's no resistance and the ideas are flowing in. You move with it. And perspective is power. Perspective is power. So if we can offer our perspective and hear perspective of others and share, it's all about uplifting the collective. One little vibration at a time.
I love that.
And, I think it is important what you're doing. I know you guys do know that I don't watch TV, although I catch news and things online. But, when I do see television, I'm just like literally gagging, like, oh my God, this is really what people watch all the time. And then you go to social media, to Twitter or other things, and there's some pretty nasty negative stuff on there too. And I, even myself, I probably don't even realize how some of those things get ingrained in my subconscious. So anything that can create a positive impact, especially like what you guys are doing, I sure hope that people can join you. Now, are you guys exclusively on Facebook? Is that where you're at?
We are on Facebook. We also air as a podcast and on YouTube. And it's funny what you're just talking about with this consuming media. We literally launched an episode just on that. So if that's something that speaks to all of our viewers today, listeners today, check out that episode for sure. How to consciously consume media, because it's everywhere, and we do have to be discerning. But yeah, so YouTube, we have our podcast, and Amanda can jump in with a little more guidance on exactly where the podcast is and how to connect with us that way.
Yeah, and we just felt that we wanted to get this out to as many people as possible, because I do feel, and I feel like we talked about this before, there is this like craving for a sense of community and this connectedness that has been part of this missing link. And a lot of the traditional media does tend to create a lot of that separation and some heaviness. And so we really desired and anchored in some intention to create this community and the sense of belongingness. And so we really love bringing in our community members and doing full like episodes on questions and hot seats and things like that. So that's been something that has been really important to us. And so, as far as like the podcast goes, it's on Apple and Spotify, and then it funnels out to a bunch of other like random ones, but those are the two main primary ones.
I didn't realize it was in podcast form. That is excellent. That is great. What kind of feedback have you had? I think you've done 4 shows so far.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And Carl, like I have to say, that's been my favorite part so far, is like connecting with everyone. The feedback has been out of this world incredible. And I know for me personally, it's moved me to tears multiple times. The beautiful things that people are commenting and saying in our Facebook page. And, you know, we just did an episode the other day where we got to do a hot seat live with one of the viewers, and it was just beyond incredible. Like I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And that is my absolute favorite part. And you know, within each episode we're sharing tips and like some of our favorite tools and modalities and things that we use in healthcare products, and like people are commenting like they're loving it and they're trying it, and it's so wonderful, because like you said, and we've said, there's nothing like this out there. So it's a combination of all the things that we feel we're lacking in the world, and like we're aiming to give so much more value than we're receiving in return. And that's like the new earth. The way of the new earth is this openness. There's so much more for everyone. There's more than enough to go around, and like this beautiful space that we've created, this container, it's so sacred, and it's just growing by the day. And it's amazing to see how well received it is. It's really humbling and super exciting at the same time.
Well, I'm going to tell the viewers and listeners, you saw them here first, all right? When there's a network TV show of the glowing goddess, you say, I saw that on World Awakenings. I heard it there. But, you know, what I really like about you four is, I think one of the biggest positive changes in the world is finally the rise of the divine feminine coming back into our consciousness and the world. And I know, since you're ladies, you guys definitely deal with ladies' issues. I think you had an episode recently where you talked about that. I know Amanda addresses that too. What is the biggest issue and challenge women are facing here in the first quarter of the 21st century?
Oh man, this is there's so many things I feel like that could be tied into this. And I can speak from my own perspective and what I've been through. And just this, I feel like there's been this, you know, this hardened masculinization of the feminine, to where, you know, we've had to put on these shells to remain safe. And there's just been so many different inversions and templates and things that have created a lot of separation from the truth of who we are. And so I feel like there's a remembrance happening, and in just the consciousness and in the collective, and things are very accelerated right now. And so at least from my perspective, because I do a lot of work with the physical body, but it's energy, right? Everything's energy. So when we release these like sort of armors and this numbness that has been within our body and with our energy field, and when we start to like open back up and step back into who we are, aside from all the conditioning and all the programming, it's like, then we're actually able to live and create and be and thrive. And so I feel that that's a lot of what is happening on this planet right now. And it's just available. And, you know, we're just sending out those ripple effects, and we're healing from within. Like it all starts from within. We're doing that inner work, and then we're seeing the physical manifestations of that inward restructuring and the reunification. It's like that reunification with God, source, universe, and you already are whole and complete. And then you get to experience what actual divinity is on this planet, like heaven on earth. The new earth is what we're creating. And so there's just, I feel this invitation for more softening and more opening and more anchoring in of your truth and your power at this like deeper level. And this is for everybody, like not just women.
Well,
yes.
You kind of ran into that yourself, though, weren't you, in law enforcement, and you faced that hardening of the feminine there?
Oh yeah, that's why I lived it. Like I even wrote a post about this today on like the normalization of feminine health issues. Like this is part of what it is, these hard masculine shells. And I feel that oftentimes it's like our like karma is our dharma, as one of my mentors has put it. It's like the things that we've been through and the things that we've sort of mastered on this level of, oh gosh, I went into like the depths of the shadows so that I could then help alchemize that shadow aspect for the collective and offer like, oh, there's a quicker way and there's a way available, so that, you know, maybe we don't have to go into these states of collapse, so that we can keep really anchoring in that new earth. Because I do feel that this is like the time, like we're on this, we're here right now to bring this in. And I see it happening it's rapid fire at this point. But yeah, I lived and breathed in my very like hardened masculine for so many years. And so it's just been a journey back into that softening and that heart opening, but also like that power and that truth. It's like that within and without, the feminine and the masculine within each of us, the reunification templates.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you kind of feel like too, and this is for all of us, that it's like it's a rising of the divine feminine, just kind of overall, like for all of humanity, all of mankind, these masculine dominating old worn out programs, of struggle and just and leading more an intuitively based life. Like, men, women, we can all relate now. There's still some resistance on the planet. We do encounter when sometimes talking to other people about pursuing our dreams, or I'm inspired to go do this. Oh, you can't. There's no 401k. And you get those immediate kickbacks from those old masculine template kind of programs that were installed upon us. So I feel like too, like the rise of the divine feminine is so much bigger than just for females. It's men being able to find it okay to listen to that intuitive voice that says, you're really great at photography and you love doing it, just do it. It's that, and it's happening for all of us.
I think you make a good point. As a man, I'm trying to open up, and my advice to other men, if accepting and trying to understand and integrate the divine feminine, it doesn't mean you're going to lose your masculinity. It means your heart and mind are going to open and expand to greater understanding and acceptance. So don't be scared to do that.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to add too. It takes a feminine, so that beautiful.
All right, so I guess we're having a little bit of problems with Krista's audio there, so you never know with these internet things, so it'll bounce back here in a moment. So but Renee, did you have anything on that too? Or?
Yeah, I do. I love what everybody has already shared as well. And something else that pops through for me in regards to this is really for the men who are allowing themselves to feel again. Like, I don't have to shove away the love that I have for the love of my life or the love that I have for my children. It's like, I can embrace this and I don't have to be this, hard person and rough and all these things and actually put my emotions away, but I can actually feel through them. And it's freaking amazing. I'll tell you right now, all the goddesses on the planet who want that divine union want you to feel like we are cheering you on. So really allowing yourself to just tap into that and tune into the emotions, to the love, like feeling yourself be loved, even if you didn't have parents or a caretaker or anybody who didn't bring that to you, like you have it within yourself. You don't have to let anybody else define that.
That's a great perspective. So Krista, it looks like your Wi-Fi is back. If you wanted to go ahead and share again with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in there that it takes the divine masculine to see the divine feminine. So I think that alone, that you touched on that to begin that part of the topic there, Carl, is so beautiful. It's all about the harmony within the two. We have both within each of us. We each carry the masculine and the feminine. And I think if we're too leaning towards one way or the other, that's when the disharmony happens and the resistance and the struggle takes place. So I know for me, it's been a divine balance between the two, because I was also quite in my masculine and the achieving and the doing and the going out there and all the things. But then like coming back into my flow, I love to think of it as like the banks of a river, like the banks of a river are the structure and the masculine, but then the feminine is the water that flows between. And I think it's beautiful. If we can harness both, then that's where the gold is, that equanimous, neutral place. That's where the magic happens.
I think this is one of the reasons I love knowing you guys. I mean, you allow me to gain perspectives and understandings that I would never have on my own. And like I said, I feel like my whole consciousness is expanded. But, so we talked about challenges for women. What about this? What is the biggest challenge humankind is now facing, and how can the glowing goddesses help? I got real simple questions.
I love it. Oh man, this is good. World peace. No, I'm just kidding.
How you can fix mankind. So.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to jump in?
I think that, you ask how are we going to fix challenges. I think, as we said earlier, perspective is power, but maybe looking at things as not being challenges. Maybe offering perspective that shows that, like, it's okay, like that this is part of the journey, it's part of the growth, and it's supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel good. This is media that feels good. And we don't sugarcoat anything, but we take those raw subjects and we shine the light and find the beauty within them, right? It's like taking that piece of coal and finding the diamond. It's really just, for me personally, I don't believe in struggle. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in struggle. I don't believe in certain things that are, readily accepted programming. So words like challenges, to me, if we can reframe that, if that's the gift that we give, is that we help people learn how to reframe things that maybe felt challenging, but then it's like, hey, you know what? It's okay. I'm a spiritual being having this human experience, and I just went through X, Y, and Z, and now I can see the parts of me that needed to heal, and I'm healing, and now I've up leveled. So if we can help people experience that, and in addition to just putting out all these good feeling vibes and boosting the collective energy, I think that's how we save the world.
Yes, like guiding others on their path to do the same thing. So rather than just speaking at them, like, let's amplify, give the tools, share the wealth. And I think that's a great perspective, Lenny. Like, flip the script on that, and what are some of the biggest lessons that humanity is learning right now, or what are some of the greatest gifts that humanity is receiving right now, in place of the word challenge. I love that. I love that. This is why we do the Glowing Goddess, because it's these beautiful, collaboration of minds, 4 different perspectives that come together. And it's so interesting because we're all from these different places on the Turtle Island here, but we have this beautiful connection that's just, it blends like a puzzle piece. It's absolutely wonderful. I love that.
Now, you guys all do this to a certain extent with me, but especially with Eleni, I really love talking to you because I can't tell you how many conversations, ladies, I've had with Eleni. We're on a Zoom call or something, and I'll kind of start drifting into talking about challenges and, this negative thing, and she just course corrects me all the time without even me knowing she's doing it. She just brings it back to the light and the truth. And I go, oh yeah, that's, Eleni and I are co-administrators of a Power of 8 healing group. And we've had some issues, a lot of issues with people with illnesses. And sometimes those people who need healing, they are so identified and drift into their illnesses, and when Eleni works with them, and she just pulls them out of us, so you don't need to stay there, and that is a beautiful, beautiful talent.
Oh, thanks. It's all about what labels we want to pick, right? I get to put on my own "Hello, my name is" sticker. It doesn't have that on it, right?
Well, so, that's another thing too. I like that. What label do you have? So, yeah. Well, I got all my questions here, and I love this because all 5 of us are quite into spirituality practices. And how do each of you incorporate a spiritual practice and beliefs in your own life and into your work? I'd like to check in with Renee too on that.
Oh, you got it. Spirituality is literally what I breathe all day long. I'll tell you a quick story. This happened this weekend. I'm on a tour right now with my honey. He's doing some things around US. And I started to feel really sick one night. And so I asked him if he would participate in a Native American hailing chant with me. And he did. And he was amazing about it. And I was going through the process and literally just feeling the pain leaving my body, leaving whatever it was, in this whole experience. And for him, that was a huge whoa, I've never experienced anything like that before. And I sum that up as spirituality because it's I go through it with my own body. I go through it with my manifestations. Everything has that spiritual aspect in life. I go out in nature, I feel spiritual. So for me, anyone who walks into my world as a client or somebody that in my community that I have the honor of being able to influence with some inspiration, spirituality is a part of it. It's literally a part of me because it is me. So my belief is I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So anytime I'm feeling into that spirituality aspect of myself and even in my work and all the things that I'm doing, I'm being more of myself. So I show others how they can do that as well. And spirituality means to me, I mean, wow, like so many different tools. I mean, I just wanted to share that one story because it was something very real. I was actually feeling pain in my body. Mm-hmm. And then I went to my Native American roots and I was like, all right, Chief, let's do this. And we did this whole like healing thing. It was 5 minutes. And then after I did like a breathing session for 5 minutes and I was literally healed. Like bringing it into every aspect of my life, my mind, my body. And it's a part of me.
Yeah. And, your clients have all kinds of testimonials of the success of doing spirituality things with you in sessions. So I'm interested. Amanda, what about you? It seems to me since I met you a couple years ago via online here, I've seen you undergo a little change spiritually too.
Yeah, I feel for me, one of the main things that has been, it's like a moment to moment thing now at this point, because I'm like, I have had this reframe where I'm like, okay, where's the gift in this? Even if it feels sticky, even if it feels like something is coming up and it feels triggery. And especially, for all the ladies listening too, I've come to reframe even with men, regardless, they're always bringing me gifts of consciousness because of the provision that they do have. And it's been showing up my life since I started having this reframe every time, even if, because there were a couple instances in the last week or so, I've been training for a fitness show. And so there's been so many things coming up as I knew it would. And instead of letting the story run away or letting the emotion run the show, it is bringing it back into the present moment and identifying, okay, how is this a gift here to help me step into a deeper level of myself and release something old and outdated that I don't have to take with me? Because that comes back to like when we proclaim something, when we choose something, like, get ready because it is literally going to show up. It just might not show up the way you think it does. So we have a choice moment to moment, day to day, whether we want to step into more of this like sort of victim consciousness as all this stuff is coming at me, or we can choose to see this as here for us and here to support us, even if it's like in funny wrapping paper at the moment. And then on the other side of it, we're like, oh my gosh, I totally get it now. This wasn't coming at me. This wasn't meant to harm me. This was here for me. And so since I started to reframe and even down to like, I just feel like emotions, we've talked a bit about this so far in this conversation, coming back to like the emotional piece, it's like, especially, I know that this is prevalent for so many people, like the stuffing of our emotions and like shaming the shame and like, where it just feels like so much. And I actually do feel like this is the root of so much dis-ease in the body and what we're seeing on the planet and just in general is this suppression. It's like, let it come up and out in a safe way and choose to, see these sort of triggers or activations as an opportunity. And that is in and of itself freeing because it just brings it back to center rather than just like continuing on those loops. So for me, it's like this moment to moment and day-to-day devotional practice that I have to where I'm just like, okay, how can I step into more of who I truly am and let go of all these stories and things? And it's just literally changed my life and my ability to support others in that as well. And just like the potency of my gifts coming through. So it's just been a very humbling experience for me.
Well, those are really some words of wisdom and I think for all of us who are on a spiritual evolvement path, I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we've been given. In the past, if we were confronted by somebody, say, like you had some comments on your fitness competition and training routine that would have triggered you in the past, where you could have dropped the F-bomb or got mad and stomped out of the room. But now with what we understand, we can say, okay, what can I learn from this and get me course correct me and put me back on it? And how can I forgive in this situation too? That's beautiful, Amanda. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I know you guys, I know Lenny and Krista, you both have a spiritual path. What's going on with you guys?
Krista, hop in.
Yeah, just like you, Renee and Amanda as well, it's been a journey as well as part of my everyday life, to the point where I'm just constantly coming back to self. Like I'm constantly checking in and remembering who I am as this beautiful being of light, just as all of you are, all of us are. And the undoing and the unpacking and the layering that's just coming undone every single day. And for me, like, my greatest spiritual gifts are my children, and they're constantly reminding me of who they are, who we all truly are. And so eating, sleeping, breathing, spirituality, and finding those little Zen moments in where can I dig a little bit deeper into this space, what I'm experiencing. And it's a beautiful undoing. And I think it's a great journey, and it's something that I know is going to be ongoing. And my personal awakening's been ongoing for many, many years now, many moon cycles, like well over 15 years, gosh. And it's really incredible, because for me, it's like I'm constantly learning something new. And I think one of my greatest blessings is honestly being here with the Goddess Squad, because each of you teach me so much. And every time we connect, every single time we connect, I'm reminded once again how beautiful and gorgeous you all are on the inside out, and how lucky I am to be here and to share this space with you. Because it's like, just when you think you can't love more, the love gets deeper and wider. And I'm just, it's so wonderful, because I think this is what it takes. It takes this village, this, like, we're all walking each other home, and we're all here to support one another. And the spirituality is in everything, every single living, breathing moment. And I don't take it for granted. It's not lost on me. And I want to just keep going above and beyond this lifetime and the next. Absolutely.
I love it.
You know, for me, currently, where I'm at with my spirituality and what are my practices? So, if I could offer anything to the viewers and listeners today, it's really, for me, just calling it back to truth all day, every day, right from when I get out of bed, just remembering, okay, what am I here for? I'm source energy in a body, and I like joy in that. Like, I celebrate that. I feel like a paintbrush. What am I here to create today? And I literally ask, what are we going to create today? What kind of magnificence? And then I remember that all of you, all my brothers and sisters out here, they're the same. Some of them just have more energy flowing through that paintbrush to express fully and completely. Others, might not. So how can I love more? How can I love more? How can I love more? And you know what? It doesn't just stop there, because then I go out into the manifested reality, and sometimes I'm pulled off of that. Sometimes that little mind wants to step in and judge or feel like a victim for a second, but then it's like, wait a second, I'm God in the body, I'm divine in a body. I'm here to express. What am I supposed to learn here? How can I love more here? How can I be more compassionate? How can I understand? Why do I feel the need to be understood? Right? Always going back to that. Why does this bother me? Why does this bother me? And then that helps to shine the light of, my higher power, which I call God, right on that. And just really staying connected to that. And sometimes, I'll stop midday and journal about that. I'll remember, okay, what is the will? Harmony, love, peace, joy, compassion, abundance. Constantly reminding myself, because there's a lot of things intentionally placed upon this time space reality to make you think that this is not an abundant, beautiful place to be. But I assure you, my friends, it is. So, how can I celebrate that in myself and my brothers and sisters? How can I celebrate all of the wonderful happenings in other people's lives? So maybe a midday journal sesh, or even a rant like that. And that's kind of where I am right now. It's just really being in a place of joy through recognition and appreciation. And I'm not saying that every single thing that happens in life is, what with normal stamp would be joy and celebration type stuff, but it really is joy and celebration stuff because my high self came in here to have this human experience. And there's some kind of gem in this. Something amazing is going to come from it, through each growth period. So, yeah.
I know all four of you have some beautiful aspects of your spirituality. Like Krista literally gave a verbal gratitude journal to us a little bit ago. And Eleni, you do your daily prayer posting on Facebook and on Instagram to start the day. And I get up and have my coffee and feed the cat. And okay, what did Eleni say today? I better check this out. And I go, yes, it gets me going in the start of the day. So thank you. You guys are amazing. So as we continue rolling along, viewers and listeners, we're talking to four amazing ladies known as the Glowing Goddess collectively, Eleni, Amanda, Krista, and Renee. And now you guys can talk about this if you want. Maybe you're not comfortable, but I know that all of you have had some kind of epiphany or catharsis or catastrophe that occurred in your lives that put you on the current path. Would any of you care to talk about one of those incidences before you got on this current path that set you on this journey? Or not.
I'm happy to, I'm an open book. I'm like, at this point, especially if I've healed it, because I don't like to when I'm in it, I'm like very mindful of pain body jumping. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many different initiations because I feel that it just can kind of, continue to propel yourself forward or ascend, whatever you want to call it. But I would say the most pivotal one that comes through for me was a breakup that I had. And this was probably close to 10-ish years ago at this point. And I always knew there was something not right with how the relationships dynamics were. It always felt like I knew deep in my heart it was meant for just this beautiful divine relationship. And I always felt that since I was a little girl. However, I had these deeply rooted abandonment wounds based on things that happened in my childhood and my own perceptions and perspectives of my parents divorcing and things of that nature. And so this wound repeatedly showed up in the men that would come into my field. And so this relationship that ended, I went into I'm not going to say the deepest of all dark nights of the soul, because I've had probably 200 of them. I don't even know at this point, but it was the initial one where I was like, there is something that I'm going to get to the bottom of this, because there's something here that is there's something so much bigger. Because I always used to wonder, what is this all for? What is the point of all of this? Because it just feels like you get up, you go to work, you date, and it's just this mediocrity and so disconnected from everything. It reflected in my body. My skin was a mess. My body ached. It just on so many levels was so painful. And there was also, in addition to pain, there was numbness as well. And so this relationship ending, it sort of triggered this seeker in me. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So it was started out with books and courses and all the things, more of an external search turned inward. And so once I remembered, I'm like, oh, it's all here and it's all been here the whole time. And I am, Eleni beautifully put, it's you're God in a body. You're literally a unique aspect, a unique frequency of source, you're coded for your unique soul blueprint that it's your fingerprints. There's no one else like you on this planet. And so when I began to go within, it was I did that little external journey, and everywhere you go, there you are, right? I moved, I left my job. It was all part of the process. And then once I started to really understand what inner union meant and reconnecting with God, with source, as a manifestation of this, again, having this human experience, I believe Renee said, and it was oh, okay, this stuff actually makes sense. And then I don't have to go into collapse. I still may have human emotions coming up, but I don't have to be in this state of perpetual suffering. It's more of growth and involvement versus suffering and disconnect and pain on repeated loops, because that's part of that inorganic system that is very prevalent on the planet. That's the kind of like we've seen showing up. It may appear as though things are really messy right now, but I do believe it's all actually beautiful because it's coming up, because it's time for it to be dismantled. And so we're seeing that in the collective. And I think it's amazing. So that was probably what the initial piece that was like, I'm going to figure this out no matter what. And so it's really all just beautifully come together. And then it just like, now it's like it's like you become magnetic because you're magnetic to your soul's desires. And then your people show up and you're like, oh, it's really this easy. But like, I have to take action still, but like, it just starts to make sense. And you start to like come home to yourself, and then it feels like home, and then it shows up in the physical reality. So short story, like in a nutshell.
It is amazing how relationships, especially in each of our lives, can be a trigger. I mean, how many times, if I watch the news, I still see it. How many we see somebody got divorced or they got dumped and they went and shot and killed their ex-partner. And when you can have this understanding like you just spoke of, instead of take that experience, it seems like a catastrophe. And it's like going back to what you said, what can I learn from this instead? I think that's why we're here, to help people understand they can do that. Now, Renee, it seems to me you had more of a kind of a journey like me. I seem to have had a slow opening, unfolding epiphany since I was a youngster. And you grew up in a pretty nice home and everything, and just, you kind of blossomed like a lotus flower.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's funny because I look back and I'm like, wow, like these were all of these little seeds planted along the way, right? I grew up with a grandmother who was very spiritual, and we used to just call it magic. And I used to think that she was a witch. And I identify her now as a sorcerer. And back then I was like, wow, like my mare's really powerful. And it's my mom's mother. And she instilled a lot in me as a little girl. And then after her passing, I felt very alone. I was I was 8 years old by the time she had transitioned. And though even to this day, I don't feel like I've ever disconnected from her, but she sends me butterflies all the time. That's one of our communications. But I will always feel, that there was something in someone's God, goddess, all that is, however you feel about it, right? For me, I always felt like I still had that team, even though they weren't in the physical world. And then, but I didn't really know how to consciously manifest as a kid, or I was never taught it until I came across The Secret at age 18. I had just graduated high school. My auntie took me out for lunch. I was moving to LA from Boston. And my auntie gave me this book. She said, I really want you to read this book. And I was just leaving high school. I really didn't even enjoy reading up until literally this book changed my life in so many different ways. And prior to this event, I was getting into the music industry very seriously. It was becoming my entire life. And I used to think, oh, well, one day if I run into the right person, or one day if the right person sees, my photo or something like this, or hears my music, then I'll be able to excel to the levels that I intended on. Right. So when The Secret popped into my hands, I started reading it literally on the flight out to LA, and I could not put this book down. The book changed my life because it told me that I actually have the power within myself to create my own reality. And I was like, whoa, like this is great. I was using magic and all these things with my grandmother. I mean, how we identified it as magic, like back in the day as a kid, but I'm like reminded in a different level now of this magic that I have within myself. And that actually became like a mission of mine in this lifetime. I just felt, if I have these tools, if I have this knowledge, this wisdom, and I'm literally watching it work in my life, the amazing things that have manifested like consciously, deliberately has been incredible. And I say, if I have the gift and the tool and the method, I want to be sharing it with everybody. So I was one of those people at the beginning, like shouting it on rooftops. I was finding the most challenging person I could speak to about it and speaking to them about it. Like I wanted everybody to know that this was real. And of course, there comes the law of allowing, which I learned a couple of years later, and just allowing people on their journey. And then a couple of years after, I think I was 21 at the time, I decided to become a life coach as well as pursuing my music career. And that's when I started my coaching business and literally was able to turn this into a business because people wanted to work with me one-to-one on manifestation. Even though back then, like the life coach term wasn't very popular, manifestation certainly wasn't a popular term. There was just something that, you know, people were magnetizing to me for, and it was partially of what I was sharing online and how I was deliberately creating all the things. And however that looked, you know, some things weren't material, some things were relationships, some things were falling out of relationships, and how bouncing back from it, you know, inspired somebody. So it's been really cool, but it never ends. Like, that's the thing too, is I was just having a session with Amanda like today. I'm like, it never ends. Like the unveiling of more and more, like the power that you have within, the healing that you have within. And oh gosh, I could just go on and on about Amanda and her absolutely incredible gift. All of the women here have super talented gifts. But you just keep allowing yourself to go deeper and deeper and higher, and more magic just pours in. It's really cool.
You know, I love that story about you and The Secret. And, you know, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but I was fortunate to actually become a certified life coach in the same class with Renee from the same organization that we're in. And the best thing ever happened to me. So we're going to talk for a few more minutes here. So talking to the Glowing Goddess, a collective of 4 great ladies here. I got to find out this about your show. What's this thing about a hot seat? What is that?
So the hot seat is something we thought would be totally fun, Carl. We pull viewers and listeners of our show, people who are active members in our Facebook community. So if you're hearing this now, you're like, whoa, hot seat, I want a chance to wear the crown. We pull active members from our community and we bring them on a show. We bring them on a show for the whole experience. We record, basically either a topic or something that they're working through. And we give other people, our fam, a chance to be on the show with us, to appear live. And again, I say probably for the 4th time in this episode, perspective is power. And now we have a 5th, which we love. And, it brings a whole new dynamic. It keeps it interactive. And we listen, we listen, we hear you. We hear you guys, what you want to talk about. We've filmed episodes on the fly based on viewers' questions, and, pulling a viewer to be with us on the show. It's like, it's truly an honor. I mean, for me, and I think I speak for all the other goddesses, it's just an honor that people would love to take, an hour out of their day and pop on and talk some truth with us. And put even some vulnerable life stuff out there, because when we show up that way, so we pull somebody in and they want to put some aspect of their life out there for all to view and hear, that they give us, they're creating, first of all, a space for us to show up. So thank you to anyone who sits in the hot seat. You're giving us an opportunity to shine what we came here to shine and show up and serve in some kind of way. But also that message is going out there to somebody else who might have gone through something similar, or somebody else that can relate. There are no mistakes. I don't believe that there are. So the people who end up on our show have a divine purpose for being there. And it just, it's fun. Plus it's fun. Fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to be on the hot seat on the Glowing Goddess show, just go on their Facebook page and register for that. I just saw your first episode and it was very cool with that. And of course, the most famous hot seat is with Esther Hicks and Abraham. And I know so many people aspire to do that, but you got the Glowing Goddesses, you can be on that. So we're going to wind up with these last few minutes. I'm really curious about this. I think at least 3 of you are doing some amazing programs with children. Can you guys elaborate a little bit on what you're doing?
Yeah, I'll pop in, ladies. So, and Carl, so up here in Ontario, we opened up a brand new home style school, like homeschool, called Soul School. And it was kind of birthed out of necessity, to be completely honest. I have a couple kiddos myself that are now 4 and 6, so just in the kinder years. And we wanted to create this sacred space where children can come, starseeds can come, these beautiful beings of light that are wanting more than what is currently offered in the system. And like, I'm all about like sovereignty and exiting out of the matrix and like doing everything self-sustainable. And so we've birthed, like my friend Kaylee and I have birthed this project where it's literally just like anything that you could imagine that you wish you would have learned at school, we're teaching the kids. So like real life skills, how to manifest, working with energy, third eye, healing the body, with of course like a little bit of like the curriculum infused. Like we're teaching them how to read and write and math and science, but it's amazing because it's completely child-led, it's nature-based, and we are so focused on the expansion of these beautiful star seeds and what they're learning or wanting to learn. And it's just, for me, it's the most fulfilling job, J-O-B, I like to call it joy, that I have ever had. And I am so grateful because we have this beautiful coming together of the community here. And people have been reaching out to us from all across the planet, literally across Canada, across the States, Europe, Australia, and wanting to join us and asking if we're offering online, which we don't. It's completely screen free, back to the basics. Like, this is the traditional education. I don't consider it alternative one bit. This is how things used to be back in the day, and this is what we're offering, and it's just it's amazing. Check it out. We do have a page on Facebook, and it's just called Soul School at Soul School Pod.
That is very, very cool. And I know Eleni and Renee are doing something together, right? I don't know too much about this one.
Yeah, I mean, so Renee and I both have a lot of coaching experience. And one of the things, we were having a conversation one day, and one of the things we come across coaching adults is that a lot of them feel unworthy, disconnected, broken. And a lot of it stems from things that were programmed into them in their theta brainwave state when they were just children. It all goes back to the inner child. And we thought, well, hey, what if we just went right to the kids and help them know that they're whole, worthy, and complete just as they are, and teach skills like gaining perspective, right? Because your hand looks like this one way, then you flip it like that. It's the same hand, but you just look at it different. That's how life is sometimes. Sometimes something feels really painful until you change your viewpoint on it. It feels like positive affirmations, using being mindful of what follows your I am, because tossing them around is creating. Teaching law of attraction. I didn't know about the law of attraction. I didn't know my thoughts became things. So just going right to children, either on a one-on-one basis or, in school settings or counselors, it's such a broad reach. But we just thought, hey, let's do this. Let's create a program to certify empower mentors. That's what they're called, empower mentors, to get out there and teach these skills to the children. I can't tell you the last time I needed to know, and Renee and I joke about this all the time, the square root of pi or the 13th president of the United States. It's been a long time since I had to know that. But every day I need to deal with my feelings. Every day I need to deal with my emotions. Every day I need to apply meaning to situations that are happening in life. And that's what an empower mentor gives the children the skills to do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not about that.
So get to the root.
The empower mentors. That is really great. I'm really glad that you mentioned that children, until I believe they're 7 years old, it's actually been scientifically proven they're in the theta brainwave state, which is the same brainwave state that happens when you're being hypnotized.
Yeah, they're literally walking around in like a hypnotic state.
As children, we're being hypnotized with paradigms and things, as you mentioned earlier, that last us the rest of our life. And I know Renee, as a life coach like I am, we can verify that. I've run literally every client I've ever worked in has feelings of unworthiness. They don't feel worthy of their biggest dreams. And when you finally present them and say, put the power in their own lap and say, what do you really want? They were just like stumped. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. So that's why we're here. So
yes, definitely.
You guys are all so awesome. Lenny Yambalis, Amanda Monnier, I got it right. Krista Lee, and I would like to ask this one final thing. How can people connect with the glowing goddess and also individually with each of you?
Our Facebook group is a beautiful place to start because that is where all the gold juiciness is. And so maybe we can provide you a link, Carl. That's where the episodes first air. So you get first look at the episodes. We do tips and sometimes we present special offerings that are good for 7 days. So that's all infused into the Facebook community, as well as we do live streams and we show up. Like sometimes we'll just get inspired and be like, Renee and, Krista will go on and do a quick chat, or, each of us will just be like, you want to do a chat today. So, so there's so much more than just the episodes in there. And that's part of the sense of community we really just truly from our hearts want to bring into the space. So, so the Facebook group, and like we mentioned, the podcast and the YouTube channel is another place to find the show. If you're one that, maybe you listen to podcasts while you're getting ready or driving, or, you want to check out the YouTube channel, but Facebook group is definitely where I would recommend starting to get everything that we do provide and everything we have to offer. Right now, we're launching new episodes on Saturdays.
So if people want to connect to you on Facebook in one-on-one, they could probably do instant messenger with you guys. Also, I know Lenny has caliteros.life. Renee has iHeart Academy. Amanda, you have a podcast, right?
Yeah, I do. It's called New Earth Visionaries. Yeah, you all have been on my podcast. So if you want any more doses of everybody, if each of us had a special segment, and there's a whole one on Soul School too, which literally just like, I love the work that everybody's doing, because I think that we had kind of touched on this, is we're all just bringing our own unique magic in, and we all just have such a different area of how we're doing it. And I think that's part of the beauty of the change that we're seeing on this planet, is we're all a unique piece of the puzzle. So
yeah. And what's the name of your podcast again?
It's called New Earth Visionaries.
And Renee's is Namaste with Renee.
That's right.
She's got over 100 episodes, and I've been fortunate to be on that show too. So
yes.
Watch out, Kristen and Lenny are going to get their own podcasts too. So.
It's called The Glowing Goddess.
There you go. I love it. You guys, I love you so much. I'm so blessed to know all four of you and have you in my life. And I honestly am honored to have you as my colleagues and friends. And thank you. Namaste for being on World Awakenings.
Oh,
thank you so much. Yes, it's really been a blessing and a pleasure. Thank you for having us, Carl. Love you, Carl. We love you, Carl.
Bring it on.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with host Carl Gruber, a certified law of attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in to each and every episode of World Awakenings as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment daily life. Much love and light to you, my friend, and thank you for tuning into World Awakenings.